Hey y'all, Greg back with another crazy GPTEL related thing. Everyone was asking me for GPTEL content. Well, my massive number of followers are at least. And there is news to be had. I'm recording late at night. I have no idea how I look with the green screen situation and the weird lighting that I have in my very non-professional setup. I don't care. I have my late night Oaxacan Negroni, and we are ready to do this thing. The topic at hand is whether it is possible with the ancient venerable tool, the ominous grise of IDEs and editors named Emacs. And those of us who are lifetime aficionados or even brand new fans can possibly do vibe coding. And the answer is emphatically yes. We can now vibe code in Emacs. What is vibe coding, you ask? Well, let's find out. Let's look up the creator of that term, Mr. Andre Caparti. And I've got to ask you, would you not want to hang out with this guy? Anyone in their right mind would want to. If you can't relate to that, I can't relate to you. Anyway, he came up with the whimsical term vibe coding. You will find inflamed, upset articles that say vibe coding is just a stupid term and no one should ever do it and it's dumb. But it's just a cool term. It's the idea that these days, anyone with the perspective of having a career coding things, you have the idea that in your career, you've coded things for corporations. You've had all kinds of side projects that you wanted to do, but just didn't have time to do. The people that you would really love to collaborate with wouldn't be available, etc., etc., etc. Now, suddenly, you can talk to an LLM as your collaborator, and you can just hammer out some ideas and hammer out some tests and see if you can code something that is pure whimsy. That to a lifetime coder is just amazing. And that's what vibe coding is all about. That's all it is. It's just this cool idea. And with a whimsical term behind it, let me appreciate that as I take a sip of my Oaxacan Negroni. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Okay, so this is not going to be a serious coding session, but I want to show you what's available now in GPTEL that was not available a month or 2 months ago. And there are two key things that GPTEL can now do. To show you those things, I'm just going to jump right into GPTEL itself. I'm going to do MetaX GPTEL. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to start a regular chat-oriented buffer session with some LLM or combination of LLMs that GPTEL can do. Let's give it a try. I will call it ChatGPT. That's fine. We might not actually be using ChatGPT, but we'll give it a try. Okay, my ChatGPT buffer says that we are sending media. We have the default prompt, and we're using the GPT-4o model. Okay, the first newish feature I want to show you, newish feature, is reasoning. So if I do Control-U, Control-C, return, just to get to my transient list of all the types of options I can choose, I have something that says include reasoning. So what does that mean? If I do a -V here, I can include reasoning I can say don't include reasoning with a no. I can say yes, include reasoning. I can say ignore, which is fascinating. I'll get back to that in just a moment. And I can say yes, include the reasoning that the model does. So the thing that shows me all the thinking that it's doing before it gives its official response. Or I can say, yes, I want to see the reasoning, but put it in another buffer. And if I choose other buffer, it will let me choose an existing or create a new buffer as I wish. The most interesting thing is ignore. And what that means is, yes, I want to see the reasoning steps in line in my buffer here, but do not send the text of that reasoning in my subsequent turns. So the model will reason, it will think through something, it will say, oh wow, I probably shouldn't include these things, and I should probably think about including these other things. And it can be shown very easily that the LLMs can get confused if you include their own thinking in subsequent prompt reply turns, because it'll look at that its former reasoning and say, oh yeah, I should not include this chain of thinking, and then because that chain of thinking is included, it will get confused and include that chain of thinking. Anyway, it's a whole tangled web we weave when first we practice to reason. Okay, so I'm going to choose ignore because that is almost always the coolest choice. It lets us see the reasoning steps, but doesn't confuse the model as we continue our conversation. Hopefully that was clear as a bell to anyone just popping into this video. I'm sure it is. All right, so let me set the system message to my regular default, which is you're an erudite conversational partner, not an assistant, therefore you don't need to ask me follow-up questions or praise me or kiss my ass or do all these kinds of crazy things. Just, we're talking, we're learning together, say what you have to say, and that's it. Don't try to prompt me with follow-up questions and say, oh, may I please help you, and oh, you're so brilliant. That's the kind of prompt that I like to use as my default. Now, for the model, unfortunately, we're not going to be using ChatGPT. We're not going to be using any of OpenAI's because, as is typical with OpenAI, they're not open with their reasoning. You have to go to extra steps to see what the model went through in its reasoning steps. And via the API, I don't even know if it's possible to do that. So what I'll do instead is I'll change the model to something that will show its reasoning, such as this one, which I won't mention by name, lest current administration decide that I should be put in chains for it. Okay, so let's choose that. And then let's say, that's all I need to do. Let's just say, I'll Control G out of that, and then I'll put some question to it. So let's say, kind of the very, very, very early tests a couple years ago with ChatGPT would be, why is the sky blue? And you got increasingly good questions, good responses. So I'm going to ask something that maybe it doesn't know. I'm not sure, but I could say, following Korzybski's E prime framework, how might we phrase the question, why is the sky blue? This is interesting to me. I actually don't know how it will respond or if it knows what I'm talking about. I'm referring to a 1933 book, after all. So let's find out. So the model, as we see, it's thinking. And let me format things in the buffer so that we can read it. Okay, so what we first see is that the model returned with something that is placed within reasoning tags. So it used think tags, and then GPTEL, let me toggle off modern mode so that we can see what it did. It did hashtag plus begin underscore reasoning, and then hashtag plus end underscore reasoning. These are not tags that are recognized by org mode, but the format of the tags is. They're very similar to any kind of a source code block or example or quote or all those various things that org mode does know about, and therefore it treats it the same way. Like I can collapse or expand the thing between those tags. So the thinking is, all right, the user is asking about rephrasing, why is the sky blue, using E prime, which eliminates the verb to be. It actually a verb does not eliminate all forms of the verb to be, but what Alfred Korzybski in 1933 in his book Science and Sanity proposed was that the use of the is of identity, as he called it, can lead to great confusion and so forth. So using something called E prime, which eliminates the is of identity, can lead to clarity of thought and reasoning. So this model is going through the whole thing that says, why does the sky present a blue color during the day, which eliminates the verb to be. Uses present, so possibly that's a good choice. Or under what conditions does the sky take on a blue hue? I would also consider if the answer needs to be in E prime. So you see, it's very interesting as it thinks through these things. And then its final answer is, in E prime, which avoids forms of the verb to be, we could reframe why is the sky blue to emphasize specific processes or observations. How does sunlight interacting with the atmosphere lead to our perception of a blue sky? Can you see how that rephrasing is very useful? I'm no longer thinking, why is it blue? But this rephrasing cleverly also asks about my perception that I call blue. So that's very, very interesting. I love it. That's very cool. Okay. So at any rate, the whole real point of this is to show that that the GPTEL package now allows us to include reasoning if we are interested in seeing it. Okay, point one. The second thing that GPTEL now does, which truly supports vibe coding, would be the inclusion of tools. So let's get into that. I'm just going to, I'm not sure what I want to do here. I might want to just clear out this buffer. I don't really need to do that. I will not clear it out. So here's what I'm going to show you though. I'm again hitting Control U, Control C, return, so I can see all of my options. There is now a select tools possibility. When I choose that, I get into this kind of submenu, and I have written several tools, which, by the way, are written in Emacs Lisp. So you write tools for LLMs, any LLM that knows how to use tools at least, in Emacs Lisp. It turns out you can also use Model Context Protocol, fairly recently invented by Anthropic, but applicable to not only Claude and Anthropic models, but to any LLMs. And you can use MCP servers with Emacs, with GPTEL as well. I will not cover that in this thing, but it is super cool. So the tools I have written include web tools. So we read the web page and search the web. Reflection tools, which basically give information about Emacs packages, Emacs functions, Linux functionality, man pages, things like that. So I will include all of those. And then things like getting the weather or letting my guests know where the towels are and what the cats' names are and things like that, which is something that kind of evolved out of my increasing use of the Home Assistant project and creating tools for LLMs in that system. Okay, so we're good there. Use of tools is on. Confirm tools. So let's look at that, -C. So you can say tools do not require confirmation. Excuse me. You can say tools do not require confirmation by the LLM, or they always require confirmation. So every time the LLM decides to use a tool, you will have to approve its use, or the tool decides. And not only is that an option that you can place here, but in your definition of tools in GPTEL, you can also specify what the default behavior is, whether the tool gets to decide, whether the tool never gets to decide, whether you have to, intervene, whatever. So I'm going to say tools do not require confirmation. And then similar to the reasoning, do we include tool results in the LLM response? If your LLM that you're using has a small context window, you probably do not want to include those in the context that you then send back to the LLM in subsequent turns. So you could say never, always, or the tool decides. The tool can decide whether or not to include the result of the tool usage in the response. Super cool. Okay, so I'm going to say we will always want it included because we're doing a demo and we want to see what it looks like. Okay, that's it. We're good. So now it shows that we have 10 selected tools, and I am going to Control G out of this, keeping all of our settings, of course, which we can even see up here that we have 10 tools being used. Okay, I'm going to say I have provided tools for use at your discretion. Okay? In a crazy plot twist, I am also available as a tool for your use. You may ask me, the putative human, to look something up or to run code, for example. We are interacting in the context of an Emacs org mode buffer. Therefore, you can generate code blocks and ask me to evaluate them so we will both see the evaluation results. Let's see. I want your help improving and let's say critiquing an Emacs package that I use on a daily basis. I have attached the code and a README for that package. Please review, and let's start with your suggestions for refactoring or let's say, before we tackle new functionality. All right, so that's pretty good. That could kind of act as a prompt. Now, I promised it that I have attached things, so let me do, again, Control-U, Control-C, return, and this time I'm going to add files to the context. So the files I'm going to add are my package, the package I want to work on is called org power slides, and I'll include the README as promised, and I'm going to add the Emacs Lisp as well. I think that's it. Let's give it a try. And oh, the other thing I have to do is change the model because I don't want to use DeepSeek. I want to use, let's say I'm going to use Gemini. Notice that when I'm selecting my models here, it shows me what their capabilities are. If they're able to use tools, if they're able to do reasoning, if they're able to process media, and so forth. So I like Gemini 2.5 Pro. I also very much like 4.0 and very much like 4.1 from OpenAI. But let's use Gemini. It's fast. It has a huge context window. As we see, this is 100,000, so it's got a context window of 1 million tokens. And now 4.0 and 4.1, actually just 4.1, has that same huge context window. So it's very nice, but Gemini has that window, and it's really cheap as well, and has a pretty nice personality. So let's give it a try. I'm going to choose that, and then we'll go. This is exciting. Maybe everything will break. Who knows? Thank God I have my Negroni. All right, I have streaming, but it's doing some thinking on its own, but not showing its reasoning. So this model does not show what it does in its thinking steps. But we can certainly tell that it's spending some time. In fact, I'm a little bit concerned. This should be easy peasy for this model. I expect that we're going to get a wall of text. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to let the buffer just print out because at that point, once it's completely done, then it will be navigable. So let's see where we're getting to here. It's still generating. Okay. I'll go up. Okay, so notice the way I have GPTEL configured, I have myself in as GJG, and then whatever the model it is, that I called at the time as the header for the thing. So it says, this is a neat little package. I asked it to not kiss my ass too much, but that amount of ass kissing I'll take. I can see how it would be quite handy for whipping up a quick presentation directly from org mode. Okay. So it found a bug in the slide navigation, which is interesting. Oh, okay. I recently changed this parameter, same level only, from a numeric to a Boolean. And apparently I must have missed something in one of the navigation things. So let me show you what this thing does. When I go to my package Power Slides, and I bring up the README for it, I have an org mode. Let me not use this one. I'm going to use another of my packages, which is AI prompts I have known and loved, AIP call. And I can turn this org mode structure into a slideshow by using org power slides. In fact, let's do that right now. So, yeah. Let me go here. All right, so my collection of prompts that can be composed, and then here are my LLM system prompts. And if I have images specified, then it will show images on the side, including possibly a variety of images that it chooses random ones from. And so forth. So it's very, very helpful in navigating an org mode and doing a presentation of it. But even just for regular navigation, it's brilliant because it narrows down to one headline section at a time to help you focus. Again, focus being a big key in my workflow. And if I really really do the Power Slides start presentation, then I get an even more focused kind of thing. Okay, but what this thing had noticed, and I'm going to end the presentation and go back to the chat. So it said that it found a bug with a particular subset of things that in my previous slides. So that's one of the things it found. Then it made a suggestion: change outline next headings to outline previous heading for the prev case. Oh, yeah, that's just because of the bug that it found where I stupidly have the wrong function for previous. Do I? Yeah, okay, I see it. And then I have an external dependency on the S package, and it's recommending that I could eliminate that. An excellent suggestion for not relying on external dependencies too much, although S.EL's, I believe, is built in now. No, it is not. So it is indeed external. So I could replace s dash equals comma question mark with the built-in string dash equal. Okay. Or if I want to keep s.el, I put an explicit package requires in my heading for the package. Excellent idea. And then 3, the image hook and image fitting. The image is fitted to the window before the hook is run. Oh, that's brilliant. This is really, truly helpful stuff. All right, image transform fit to window. Call it after running the hook. Brilliant. Of course, I should do that. Find image is not a standard Emacs function. Is that true? Well, I'm sure that's true. It is. No, it is. Sorry, you're wrong about that. I think you may have hallucinated that. If you notice, I'm using basically bleeding edge Emacs. I compile from source, so it's entirely possible that the model would be totally up to date in Emacs functions, but not know about that one. That's possible, I'm sure. So I'm not worried about that. Number 5 is move function. The P case determining the move function is functional but could be structured to slightly improve clarity by separating direction and org power symbol only conditions more explicitly. More of a stylistic suggestion. I love it. I mean, oh my God. P case next. Or prev. So then there's only 2 cases, not 4, but they have if statements in it. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. This is subjective. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Declaration of org power slides saved frame font. It's used to store the original frame font. So you see it determined what its actual purpose is. It's set queued directly in this function. Add a def-var org power slide saved frame font nil, original frame font saved during presentation at the top level. This declares it globally, provides a doc string so you understand what the hell it is, initializes it to nil. It's a good practice for variables that hold state, agreed, even if primarily managed internally. And the doc string for org power slides right size image window okay. Okay, so I'm going to say love it. I will gladly implement these and appreciate your discovery of at least one bona fide bug. The new functionality I'm thinking of is to make a flashcard package out of this. Maybe a new package, maybe an extension of the current one. That's, in fact, why there is a random slide function. But before that, I think I should consider making more this package into a minor mode, eliminating the start end functions in favor of toggling the mode. What do ya think? This is way fun. And I'm not doing this seriously right now, but I will do it. I will save this thing as a file, get back to it, and start working on that package because it's really great and it's amazing that you can do this at any time of day or night at your whim, which is really the essence of vibe coding, in my opinion. All right, I'll just look at the some of the content here, then we'll close out. Again, this is not truly a vibe coding session. It's just you can do this at will with the GPTEL package now, and it's really, really amazing and fun. That's really what I want to do with this. Moving to a minor mode. This is why it's a good idea. Better state management, scoped key bindings, exactly right. This one I don't know about. My movement keys, like when I go into any org mode thing, I'll just bring up my Emacs configuration. So here's my README for Emacs configuration. I hit those keys, which is super right and left square bracket. So right square bracket to move forward. And you see in any org mode hierarchy, you can easily narrow into specific things and go back and forth that way, even without thinking of it as a slideshow. It's hugely, hugely useful. So this scoped key bindings, I would not want to scope that functionality of movement and narrowing to only being when the minor mode is toggled. So that would be something worth experiencing and talking with the LLM about. Blah, 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 blah. Buffer local versus global effects. Very, very good idea. Very good point, because when I change the font for presentation purposes, I don't want to change the font across the entire frame, including for things that are not the slideshow. So that's a good point. And then, of course, here's boilerplate for how we would start. And this is better than boilerplate for how to make a minor mode. Oh no, it pretty much is boilerplate for making a minor mode, but it could be highly educational for anyone who has not done this before, and it's brilliant. Anyway, that's all I'm going to go through. I'm not going to actually start with the rest of this project. I'll end the video and then do it during the rest of my Oaxaca Negroni, and then we'll see what we get to. But I really wanted to make this because GPTEL continues to be just amazing and super useful and super active as a project with new features being added all the time. I'm going to not say every day, but every week. There will be some kind of new feature. It's an exciting thing to be part of, and This is just kind of the next step in it. So, hope you have great adventures in coding using GPTEL or however you choose to use it. And please leave me comments and questions. I'm really happy to answer anything, and it will give me ideas for the next interesting video to make. Thanks, and that's it.